Hi, my name is Cole Dudgeon, and today I'm going to be talking about customer retention in the financial industry. This is a research project that I'm doing for K-State, an English class, and let's jump right into it. So a little bit of background on the issue. In the financial service industry, there's often a lot of customer overturn. This is just because so many people are looking for maybe their product didn't fit them, or they're looking for something better, or rates change. So the two basic things that's going to come down to is either they're not happy with the product, or they're not happy with the customer service that they received. I'm writing for the company that I internshiped for, called Security Benefit out of Topeka, but it's really applicable to anybody in the financial service field. Sorry about that. The issue is really going to come down to not being able to satisfy customers just because of maybe a lack of service representatives, or just not being able to assess the customer's needs. So we're going to go into and talk about how we can solve this problem. One way is through using predictive analytics and machine learning, and how that can sort of change the game for the industry. So as you can see here, 2% is equal to 10%. This is going to come down to the cost of not retaining customers. 2% meaning that if you can retain 2% more of your customers, it's the same as cutting costs by 10%. So that's really going to help out a company's profits if they can't afford to cut this 10%. 1 out of 25 will report. This just means pretty self-explanatory that only 1 out of 25 unhappy customers will report that they're unhappy to the company. So that can sort of make a company have a massive following of people that are unhappy and they don't know it, and it continues to grow as 9 out of 12 people, when they're somebody who's unhappy will tell 9 to 12 people that they're unhappy and why they're unhappy with the company, as opposed to if a customer is satisfied, they'll only tell 4 to 5 people. And then a few more things on the cost of not retaining customers. It's actually 5 times more expensive to acquire a customer than it is just to retain that one customer. So if you look at, say it's $20,000 to retain a customer, then it's going to be $100,000 to get a new one. That might be a little extreme, but and then as I said earlier, they're either upset with the product or the service rep, and then we see that it's sort of a nonlinear line here when it comes down to the profit that you'll gain off of a customer over time. It's it will continue to go up and increase the longer a customer is with you guys. So here's a little case study that was done by the Management Accounting Journal, and they just pretty much took a company and they said, hey, out of your 100,000 customers, how many were happy, how many were unsatisfied? And when it came down to it, they saw about 30% of this company called Alpha were unsatisfied. So I don't know if they made it easier for us, but so it was 30,000, and they said out of this 30,000, how many reported that they were unhappy, how many will buy again, and baseline what you need to know is that they lost 18,000, almost 500 customers per year. So when you look at how much money this comes down to, $37 million is being lost if it's at a $2,000 profit per customer. So that's obviously a huge number, really affecting companies' profits at 37 million. But what's worse is that if you're looking at that over a 5-year time, the amount that a company will lose is even farther. It's at 185 million, because like I said earlier, the longer a customer is with you, the more profit you're going to make off that customer. So here's a little graph on the effects of customer satisfaction. So this was also done by the Accounting Management Journal, and they pretty much talked about here, they compared the overall stock market growth, which is on the left there, and they compared it to companies that were in the top 10% for best customer service. So as you can see, over a year, it's almost 3 times as much growth from those companies compared to the entire stock market, which is a pretty great return if you were just looking at investing in companies like Chick-fil-A or whoever has great customer service. So here's a little bit on competition. Sorry for the long slides here, but there's a lot of information that I thought was good. So some of the things that the competition are doing, instead of looking at ways that the competition might be having problems, we've already sort of looked at the problems that they could be having, especially with the supporting document, but more importantly, what are they doing that we need to move forward and match or do better. So in the lenders, people who are lending money are using this predictive analytics to sort of assess who's most likely to default, how they can lend money more efficiently, and they ended up cutting losses by actually 23% annually. And then risk management, you're just using this to predict, again, the likelihood of default, and a bank actually used it to manage how much money laundering they had going on, actually. So they saw 20% reduction in investigative volume over that time. And so some big major things with this machine learning that can take in tons and tons of information. That's way more than the human brain could. And then lastly here, cybersecurity. One way is, which actually helps in customer service, is through cybersecurity. People in the financial service want to know that their life savings is safe. And one company actually used this, and they had 1 million credential stuffing attacks in 1 week that were protected against. So they detected them and got rid of them. So for a resolution here, obviously we're already using predictive analytics, which I just touched on what the competition is doing, but nobody, these people are using it, these other companies are using it to, limit their downside, cut their risks, increase profits through different ways, and that's great. But how we need to be using it is figuring out how we can use this to retain customers, because that's where huge profit is being lost. You can use this predictive analytics to run through, say, all of the calls that we already have stored of customer service reps and people who call in their communication. So if we can use this to detect things like tone, how efficiently their problems being solved, determining their needs before they even call in and what problem they might be having, then we can solve these problems before they exist and maximize those profits. Here's a long list of citations for you. They were also throughout the slides. I hope you learned, and thanks so much.